On this day in history, February 1st, 1864, Prussian forces crossed the border into Schleswig, starting the Second Schleswig War. Included in the following is an excerpt from the 1944 edition of the Encyclopedia Britannica going over the attitude of Russia and Prussia that preluded the war. With this folly, as Bismarck roundly termed it, Austria and Prussia, in the teeth of violent public opinion, would have nothing to do, for neither wished to risk a European war. It was clear to Bismarck that the two powers, as parties to the Protocol of 1852, must uphold the succession as fixed by it, and that any action they might take in consequence of the violation of that compact by Denmark must be so correct as to deprive Europe of all excuse for interference. The publication of the new constitution by Christian IX was in itself sufficient to justify a declaration of war by the two powers as parties to the signature of the protocol. As to the ultimate outcome of their effective intervention, that could be left to the future to decide. Austria had no clear views. King William wavered between his Prussian feelings and a sentimental sympathy with the Duke of Augustenburg. Bismarck alone knew what he wanted and how to attain it. From the beginning, he said later, I kept annexation steadily before my eyes. The protests of Great Britain and Russia against the action of the German Diet helped Bismarck to persuade Austria that immediate action must be taken. On December 28th, a motion was introduced in the Diet by Austria and Prussia, calling on the Confederation to occupy Schleswig as a pledge for the observance by Denmark on the compacts of 1852. This implied the recognition of the rights of Christian IX, and was indignantly rejected, whereupon the Diet was informed that Austria and Prussia would act in a matter as independent European powers. The agreement between them was signed on January 16, 1864. One article stated that the two powers would decide only in concert on the relations of the duchies, that they would in no case determine the question of the succession save by mutual consent. At this stage, had the Danes yielded to the necessities of the situation and withdrawn from Schleswig under protest, the European powers would probably have intervened. A Congress would have restored Schleswig to the Danish crown, and Austria and Prussia, as European powers, would have had no right but to prevent any attempt upon it by the Duke of Holstein. To prevent this possibility, Bismarck made the Copenhagen government believe that Great Britain had threatened Prussia with intervention should hostilities be opened, though, as a matter of fact, England did nothing of the kind. The cynical stratagem succeeded. Denmark remained defiant, and on February 1st, 1864, the Austrian and Prussian forces crossed the Ader.